We're at Halloween Havoc and we kick off the show with Dia de los Muertos. Dr. Wagner Jr. is here, and he is here for his NXT North American title Day of the Dead match against the champ All Ego Ethan Page. But who will stand tall? Will it be the AAA Latin American champion, or will it be the NXT North American champion? Well, with the title being held up in the air like you just don't care, the match is on. And All Ego immediately rolls to the outside and taunts at a AAA star, which only gets the NXT star a huge suicide dive. But Wagner isn't done, as he gets on the apron and front flips off the top rope to the floor. And with El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. taunting away, he quickly refocuses on his target, smashing him into the barricade shoulder first and the ring post face first. Then he just awaits for All Ego to get up as he connects a humongous clothesline off the apron, turning the champ inside out. And after a front suplex ribs first onto the barricade, he goes into the ring, not with Page, as Dr. Wagner III ascends to the top rope and looks to dive. Yet the Canadian moves as Junior crash and burns, allowing for Page to pick him up and scoop slam the challenger onto the hardest part of the ring. And with him sending him into the steel steps, Ethan Page goes and grabs a steel chair. However, before he can use it, Dr. Wagner Jr. gets it off him and smacks him in the face with it, as he then hurls him over the barricade. And of course, he joins him, sending All Ego all across the arena. And at one point, after taking him down with a spinning kick, he even goes on to and dives off a storage box to the champion. Though as he grabs a local baseball bat, his swing is nowhere to be found, as Page then taunts at his down foe before he goes for one of his own, similarly getting blocked by Dr. Wagner Jr., as once he gets up, he gets smacked in the back with the bat too. Although to keep him down at least temporarily, he picks him up and hurls a chair at Ethan Page not once, but twice, and of course, it wasn't nice. Yet the beatdown doesn't stop, as All Ego is sent into the storage box, both front and back first. And with a further wasteland onto the box, Dr. Wagner Jr. just batters Ethan Page across more of the arena, and with them near the stage, Wagner drops Page with a super kick. But the champ fights back with a desperate knee, hurling Wagner away to attempt to recuperate. Although eventually, with the AAA Latin American champion getting up, the bloody North American champion goes back to battle. Yet he took too long, as he gets sent to the stage for retaliation. Then Wagner goes over to a casket, breaking it open to find an urn, which he just yeets at the champion, but he's not done using it, smashing him in the head alongside waiting for him to get up, uppercutting him with the weapon, leaving ashes in its wake. Then he tries carrying him back to the ring, only getting him so far, as Page fights out of his grasp when they get near the square circle, as he then sends him into the barricade before going under the ring and grabbing a megaphone of all things. Though he uses it to great effect, smashing it into Wagner's skull. But he's still not satisfied, grabbing the steel steps, yet all this gets him is a megaphone and steel steps to the face. Then it's Dr. Wagner Jr.'s turn to get a weapon, getting a mannequin arm, and beating Ethan Page down with it as well. And he's just relentless on the assault, continuously hitting him with the arm until discarding the weapon and chucking Ethan Page back into the ring. And he joins him in style, as after a big time drop kick, he goes for a potential huge powerbomb. Yet All Ego desperately punches his way out of it before looking for Ego's edge. But this gets caught, as he gets put down with one hell of a phantom driver. Is Ethan Page done? Well, he's not just yet, as he kicks out at 2. So Dr. Wagner Jr. looks for a moonsault, although Ethan Page gets out of dodge, as he tries rolling Dr. Wagner Jr. up, yet this act of desperation yields no results, as Wagner kicks out and kicks back. hitting a springboard cutter and middle rope frog splash in quick succession. So he tries a leaping moonsault, which also fails to connect, as Ethan Page again goes for a roll-up, once again getting kicked out of. Yet this time, Ethan Page gets on top with a quick bicycle kick. And from here, All Ego impressively snatched power slams Dr. Wagner Jr. across the entire damn ring. He thinks that's it, though Dr. Wagner Jr. disagrees, kicking out of the big move. So he goes to the outside as the strange weapons keep on coming as he grabs a door. But as he puts it into the ring, Dr. Wagner Jr. looks to stop him, getting a twisting grin variation on top of it. And All Ego again goes into the cover, which again doesn't do the job. So he goes for an Ego's Edge again, although Dr. Wagner Jr. escapes before firing off one last gasp of survival, doing whatever he can to take the NXT North American Champion down, and finally, he does with a slingshot spear and moonsault combination. But he makes a critical error by not going into the cover, as he sets up the door in the corner, and when he turns back, he gets shot right in the balls, before All Ego unbelievably Ego edges him through the door, and he drags him into the center of the ring before making an obnoxious cover, giving Dr. Wagner Jr. enough time to kick out. Ethan Page is beside himself with rage, so he goes for and nails a twisted grin. But similarly, Dr. Wagner Jr. just manages to survive. Ethan Page is now stunned, but the AAA star is basically out. So Ethan Page goes to the outside and grabs one last weapon, a barbed wire baseball bat. As with Dr. Wagner Jr. slowly rising to his feet, he gets smashed back down with the barbed wire bat. And with the cover being made, that ends this war. The bloodied mess of All Ego Ethan Page emerges the car wreck as still your NXT North American Champion. But how the hell do we follow this? Well, it's time to get bouncy, as Javon Evans teams with the X Division champion Leon Slater to take on the AAA team of La Parca and Mr. Iguana. But which team will get bragging rights? Well, the match is on, and we start off with a little dance courtesy of La Parca, and Javon joins in on the affairs until the AAA star attempts to steal the win early with a roll-up. But thankfully, this fails, as when both men rise, it's now the bouncy boy who goes into a cover, only yielding the similar results. Yet Javon doesn't care, as he looks for an early OG cutter, which gets ran away from, and the roll-ups only continue, with La Parca going for the cheap win again, and once again, Javon Evans leaps out of the cover, as he responds to this by hurricanranaing him out of the ring. And with getting up, Javon tags in Leon Slater, who climbs to the top rope and hits a humongous crossbody to the outside onto La Parca. Then he rushes back to the ring to tag back in Javon Evans, who subsequently builds a full head of steam and leaps over the referee to dive onto the AAA star. But as he does, Mr. Iguana quickly gets into the ring, as it's then he who dives to the outside. And Leon Slater rounds out the party, diving onto the Iguana, and he grabs him and chucks him back to his corner, going back to his own as Evans throws Parker back into the ring. And with him rising, the Youngblood takes him down with a huge springboard clothesline. And after a double foot stomp and kick down, Leon Slater gets tagged back in as he does double knees to the gut back to back. But the follow-up moonsault is nowhere to be found, as La Parca goes off the turnbuckle and arm drags Leon before kicking up and drop-kicking him down. Yet the TNA X Division champion kicks back before paying homage to Booker T with his signature kick as he goes into the cover. Though this won't be the last, as Parker powers out of it. But the double knees this time are nowhere to be found, as with a pop-up meteor, La Parca flawlessly transitions into tagging in Mr. Iguana. and he's a house on fire, as after a hurricanrana, Leon quickly escapes to the outside, where he's met with the same dive that was hit on Javon. And after a rapid fire splash off the barricade, he waits for Leon to get up as he dives on him for the third time in a row. Yet Javon quickly clotheslines him on the outside, but once he's up, he gets met by a beautiful dive courtesy of La Parka. But Leon is able to get back on top with a moonsault off the apron. However, this advantage doesn't last long, as Mr. Iguana moves out of harm's way before being hit with a splash from the exact same place. Then Mr. Iguana puts him in the ring, goes to the top rope, and connects his own version of a crossbody. And Leon just desperately crawls into the corner, slowly rising to his feet before being taken down again with a slap to the chest and an old school pair drop kick. Leon is writhing around in agony, so Mr. Iguana takes full advantage, tagging in La Parka as they connect stereo shoulder tackles. But La Parka gets too goofy with it, allowing for Leon Slater to move out of harm's way and tag in Javon Evans, and he gets bouncy almost straight away as he takes down both La Parka and even Mr. Iguana. Although the OG cutter attempt fails, as Parker rebounds and rebounds off the ropes again until he gets taken down. But the follow-up standing moonsault gets evaded as La Parka is able to grab the young bud, twist him around and plant him down with a final cut. Is that it? Well, no, it's not. So he goes for a frog splash, even though no one's home, as Javon takes him down before tagging Leon, and he looks for a blue thunder bomb, but a punch blocks him, although he grabs his foot, spins him around, and then takes him to the outside. And with him following, Mr. Iguana and Javon Evans go at it in the ring. However, as Javon goes for the OG cutter, it doesn't hit Mr. Iguana, but it does hit Layeska. Javon is horrified as this fires up the Iguana, who takes the bouncy boy to the outside as Layeska gets paid back by suicide diving the young OG. Although Mr. Iguana gets immediately wiped out too by a single leg dropkick by the X Division champion. And with him discarding the Iguana, he twists the fates La Parka after countering an attempted attack, and we all know what comes next, as Leon Slater connects a Swanton 450 splash to pick up the win for his team. NXT win! Leon Slater and Javon Evans have proved to be formidable foes and phenomenal tag team partners. But how do we follow this? Well, up next, it's time for Blake Monroe to attempt to unseat Zarya for Sol Ruka's NXT Women's North American Championship. But as Zarya gets into the ring, she immediately charges at an unaware Monroe with a spear. The bell's only just rung, and Zarya even follows this up with an F5. Yet Blake Monroe won't go down that easily, so Zarya just starts punching down at her over and over and over again. She's relentless on the assault. That is until the former Mariah May draws blood. Only then does Zarya stop the beating as she lifts her up and goes for a second F5, although Blake is able to slip out of it as she quickly grabs Zarya and plants her down with a double underhook DDT. And she desperately crawls into the cover, praying that's it, even though it's not. So she picks her up and just slaps her in the face, leading to Zarya being able to counter Blake's next attack and just push her to the corner. So Monroe charges at her, which gets her hoisted up in the air and caught into a second thunderous F5. And with the blood smearing the canvas after a third F5, Zarya goes into the cover and wins. She retains on Sol Ruka's behalf, and she did so in brutal fashion, perhaps showing a beginning of a change in demeanor for the former Delta, that maybe she must win by any means necessary. But before the scheduled NXT Tag Team Championship match, we see a backstage brawl between Javon Evans and Cutler James, and they fight anywhere and everywhere. Javon wants to neutralize the numbers game Dark State have, which he does, as with James being put through a table, Dark State now go into battle with 3 men. Or so you think, as we cut to see Osiris Griffin and Leon Slater similarly doing battle, only this time in the parking lot. And both men are in a precarious position, and they keep on countering each other, although with a one well-timed super kick, Osiris is plummeted through a sheet of glass. He's taken care of as well. Javon Evans and Leon Slater have helped the Hardy Boys big time, as now Saquon Sugars and Dion Lennox must go at it alone in this normal match, because this was filmed prior to the announcement of the Broken Hardys' return. They're the only ones left, so it'll be a fair fight. But can the Hardy Boys retain the NXT Tag Team titles? Well, the match is on, and Sugars immediately runs into a tilt-a-whirl neckbreaker from Matt Hardy, and he quickly puts him into the corner, tagging in his brother, with the two connecting an assisted twist of fate. But Dion Lennox quickly superkicks Matt and subsequently breaks up the pin, and Dion then clotheslines Jeff out before looking for a big dive off the apron, though no one's home, as Jeff manages to hurl him into the steel steps. But by the time he gets into the ring, Sugars has managed to get up as he takes down the legend with a DDT. Then he just piles the knees on a Hardy, and once he eventually stops, he swings him into his corner, tagging in an outstanding Dion Lennox as the two hit an atomic drop big boot combination. And Dion of course goes on the cover, even though this of course doesn't do the job just yet. So Dark State continue to manhandle Jeff Hardy as he gets brung up and put right back down. Though then Jeff kicks back, yet he just gets put right back down with a back elbow. And with a cheap shot to Matt Hardy, the beatdown on Brother Nero continues. But when he goes for more punches, Jeff reverses the pressure, although as he does, Dion pushes him back as the younger competitor gets up quicker, drop kicking the legend back down. And after an impressive power move only using one hand, he presses him down and goes into another cover, getting another 1 count. So he goes for a powerbomb, although a trio of punches gives Jeff Hardy a chance. However, the exact same mistake by Jeff is made, resulting in him getting taken down again. And it's now stomps that rain down from the sky onto the charismatic Enigma, although the endless stomps end, and Dion puts Jeff into a tackless corner, punching him and then hurling him to the other side of the squared circle. But he's still not done, as he does the exact same thing back the other way. Matt Hardy is desperate for the tag, although he can't get it just quite yet, as the tag is made back to Saquon Sugars, but the double team move can't connect, as Jeff hangs onto the ropes before sending Dion to the outside and elbowing Sugars. And after taking him down with a tornado DDT, he goes to tag in Matt Hardy, but Dion Lennox pulls him off the apron. It's heartbreak for Jeff, who gets subsequently taken down by Sugars with a very impressive spinning powerbomb, that being bridged into the cover for a solid 2. And Jeff just crawls towards his doom, getting drop kicked onto his back. Then Saquon Sugars just plays with his food, showcasing his dominance with a painful pump handle backbreaker. And he tries another cover, even though Jeff Hardy finds a way to survive. And that's all he can do at the moment, as he's still getting battered by the former tag team champions. As after several headbangs into the canvas, Saquon Sugars even taunts away at Matt Hardy. And once he's done, he just leg drops his brother before tagging back in Dion Lennox, as the two take down Jeff Hardy before they both inevitably go up to the top rope, as Saquon Sugars front suplexes Dion Lennox on top of Jeff. And the pinfall is of course made, even though he still kicks out. And this makes Dion quite mad, which leads to him making a mistake as he gets taken to the outside. And with Sugars also being taken down, Jeff Hardy decides to fly, diving onto both men with separate unique dives. And with him crawling back into the ring, he just manages to leap over to his brother and make the tag. Matt Hardy is in, and he's just battering Dion Lennox like there's no tomorrow, and he throws him into the corner, continuing the deletion of Dark State. And with enough stomps to make a toddler scream, a guillotine leg drop is the next order of things. And to end this combo, he goes to the heavens and comes back to reality with a crossbody. But that doesn't mean he's done, as he picks up Dion and side effects him as well. And with Jeff Hardy just about up, Matt Hardy tags in his brother to connect a twist of fate and swanton bomb combination. And Saquon Shagars actually leaves. He's done with Dark State, as the Hardy Boys retain. They are still double champions. They still rule both TNA and NXT's tag team divisions, although their next challengers could be their last, as we see up on the ramp none other than Javon Evans and Leon Slater. Allies on this night, enemies the next. But can they overthrow the double champions? Well, before we find out, it's time to find out who will leave Halloween Havoc as NXT champion. But will it be Trick Williams who does so, or will Ricky Saints retain? Well, the match is on, and Trick immediately goes for a trick shot, though Ricky catches him into a powerbomb position, yet Trick gets out of his grasp with a trio of punches, and with him stunned, he goes for the trick shot again, which once again gets avoided, as Ricky then goes for a spear, similarly being blocked from happening, as Trick evades and then sends Ricky out of the ring. And he of course joins him, doing so by delivering a big clothesline off the apron to the floor. And he continues the assault, with him driving Ricky into the ring post and barricade face first, and then back first. But Ricky jumps out of his grasp, although both trade counters until finally, the Revolution gets his receipt by throwing Trick into the ring post. Then he goes back in the ring, before going back out with a suicide dive. Ricky Saints is on fire, and he continues the momentum by throwing Trick into the steel steps. And to top this off, he Russian leg sweeps him into the barricade just for good measure. Then he puts him back into the ring, though he takes too long to join, as Trick pulls out an AJ Lee classic, but this submission doesn't last, as Ricky's able to claw his way out of the hold, as he goes for a drop kick, yet no one's home, as Trick then attempts a roll-up, though just like throughout the rest of the night, this doesn't do the job. And Ricky manages to kick back before taking a page out of Tommaso Ciampa's playbook with a fairy tale ending. And he goes into the cover, though the match rages on, as Trick crawls up the turnbuckle, ultimately leading to him being taken down as Ricky ascends one stage further, calling Trick up as he goes for a middle rope spear. But Trick evades the inevitable, as he manages to quickly catch the champ with a bookend that will make Booker T proud. And he sprawls into the cover, hoping that's it, and his hope would fade as Ricky kicks out. So he goes for the trick shot for a third time, getting evaded for that exact same number, as Ricky Saints then goes for his own cheeky roll-up. However, the ever so smart Tricky Willie manages to escape and apply his own roll-up. But with the strength of Hercules, the NXT champion powers Trick up and back down a little final roll-up of the sequence, which doesn't end the match. And with Trick frazzled, he gets put back into the corner and subsequently battered, as Ricky hits not one, not two, but 3 chops, making Trick's chest red raw. But on sheer instinct, he knees back, and even though he's startled, Trick manages to take down Ricky with a discus big boot. And he of course goes into the cover, even though that doesn't do the trick. So he flawlessly transitions into a float over Uranagi, and he tries to pin again, although once again, the former Stark survives. So he hits another Booker T classic, and just stares at the emotionless champion until he does another axe kick, and another. Then he just waits, taunting at him whilst he does, as the champion slowly rises. But then he quickly spears Trick out of thin air, even though this still doesn't end things. So he goes for a Rochambeau, although Trick blocks this with a trio of punches, As with Ricky stunned, Trick goes and nails a hell of a slam dunk. This move has finished off so many people in the past, but it doesn't do the same for Ricky tonight. Trick Williams is stunned, so he goes back to all reliable, loading him up one final trick shot. But this gets turned into a Rochambeau out of nowhere, yet even this doesn't allow Ricky to retain. So once Trick gets up, both men do their final stand. They're clobbering the hell out of each other, although eventually Trick staggers as Ricky quickly kicks Trick in the gut before unbelievably Canadian destroying the former two-time NXT champion. As with the Tornado DDT following shortly after, Ricky Saints goes into the cover. And with that, by the skin of his teeth, Ricky Saints retains. He is still the top dog of NXT. He has belittled the former TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and he does so with absolute precision. But regardless of that, it's now time for the main event of the evening, as it's time for Tana Paxley to take on the reigning defending NXT Women's Champion JC Jane. But of course, both factions are at ringside, so Izzy actually takes charge, going straight after Fallon Henley, as them two brawl to the back. And with the rest of the calling allowing Tam to fight on her own per her request, that just leaves Lady Reed, who gets handled by a certain Bird Lady, as the Lyra Valkyria beats the holy hell out of Lady Reed, all the while JC Jane watches on helplessly. As with the numbers now down to a pure one-on-one affair, with rivals officially united, and with the calling ensuring no one will interfere, this NXT Women's title match is on. And even though she's nervous, JC locks up with the challenger and grabs her arm, although Tana quickly reverses and then grabs her arm. But the arm counters keep on coming as JC goes from behind and wrenches the arm all the same, though Tam is able to completely reverse the situation in her favour, and she starts to technically dominate the NXT Women's Champion, taking her down and locking in a headlock before going back to the arm, eventually tossing her away, winning the exchange. Then Tam just laughs in JC's face, so they lock up again, and the champion pushes the challenger into the ropes, and as the referee separates them, JC cheap shots Tatum, subsequently going for a super kick, which gets turned around into a surprise DDT. Both the follow-up elbow misses, as Jane goes for a bicycle kick, similarly being evaded, as Paxley goes for the early roll-up win, but just like all the other matches throughout the night, this fails. As when JC Jane gets up, she trips up an attempted clothesline as she bulldozed Tatum with one of her own. Yet Tana knees back, going for an enziguri, which misses, as JC goes for one of her own, which also misses, as the two merely stare off with one another. Though eventually, JC breaks the ice with a kick to the gut, even though a subsequent powerbomb is stopped by a trio of punches, as Tam looks to build momentum, which gets shut down with a big scoop up power slam. And JC tries to capitalize off this with a cover, only gaining her a 1 count. So she goes for a standing senton, which misses, as Tam is able to plant JC face first on a knee and drop kick him in the back to follow suit. And JC just crawls to the bottom turnbuckle, only getting her squished by the challenger as she then ascends to the top rope. However, the top rope senton is nowhere to be found, as the champ takes a page out of a certain Flair's book, natural selecting Tatum alongside kicking her in the back and sentoning her gut. And this combination gets a cover, even though it only graces her a 1. And after a gruesome kick to the chest, JC then goes to the middle rope, yet a middle rope senton is avoided, as Tatum strikes her across the ring, rebounds off the ropes, and gets power slammed all the way back down. As after a follow-up senton, she then goes up to the heavens, although as she does, Tatum kicks up and meets her up there. However, after a struggle, she gets hurled back down to the canvas, though she kicks up again, forearming her into the corner and insecuring her down. But JC Jane rolls to the outside, which gets her doved on by a dove. And she goes back into the ring, goes back up to the top rope, and twisting crossbodies the champion back down. Yet a third dive gets diverted, as JC Jane is able to take back control with a super kick and clothesline combination. Out of a front suplex onto a barricade, JC arrogantly goes back into the ring and just waits. She wants the count out win, though when she realizes this can't happen, she just suicide dives Tana Paxley back. And after just tossing her at the ring post ribs first, she goes back into the ring looking for that count out win. However, at the last possible second, Tana Paxley gets back into the ring. Even if she's taken down, she's still in the match, which continues with another kick out. And she crawls up the turnbuckle. However, unlike when JC did, she's able to counter, although her momentum gets snuffed out from under her with a big spine buster. But she sticks in the fight, so JC just stomps at a Kingdom Come. She's refusing to relent, although when she does, it's to line up the discus forearm. But thankfully, Tana is able to block this as she goes for a roll-up, although this doesn't do the trick, so once both women get up, Tana fires on all cylinders, as she connects dropkicks galore alongside a big running splash. And to round things out, she even manages to hit a standing corkscrew senton. Everyone is wowed, though them wows turn to boos when JC Jane kicks out. So it's now Tana who ascends to the heavens, though JC tries to reach God, but all she can get is shoved back down as Tatum goes to the middle rope and just splashes her down. Though she's still not done, rejoining God up there, and this time flawlessly connecting the senton. And she goes into the cover, thinking that is it, yet it isn't. So Tatum reaches to the stars one more time as she goes on to miss a 450 splash, subsequently leading to the discus forearm connecting. The move that's put so many of us down doesn't do the same to Tatum, all thanks to the ropes. JC Jane is furious, so she goes for one more, which is nowhere to be found, as Tana Paxley is able to connect the Psycho Trap. JC Jane is done, and Tatum knows it, putting an exclamation mark on things by connecting a 450 splash nearly across the entire damn ring. As with that, we have a new WWE NXT Women's World Champion, and her name is Tana Paxley. And while she's celebrating, Izzy Daylight and Valkyria come back out on the ramp, and whilst they still don't like each other, that doesn't matter, as on this night belongs to Tana Paxley, which a certain role model agrees with. And if you like this story, I think this might interest you.